This week on NWP, I now pronounce you man and knife. Hello and welcome to Nerds Without Pants, episode 4.
Was that from the Expendables?
Hell yeah, that was from the Expendables.
Oh my god, dude. I'm cutting it, this can stay in the show, you don't have to edit this out. You can edit that part out, but, we went to the movies last night, and all we wanted to do was see the Expendables, me and, the other guys that were there. We were like, we don't want to see this stupid comedy bullshit.
Oh yeah,
we were 5 minutes into the campaign, and I looked at my friend Matt, my friend's boyfriend, and I was like, if this was the Expendables, 5 people would be dead by now.
Oh yeah, well I'll get to that later, but yeah, you are not wrong, sir. But yes, I am Julian, quote-unquote host. I am joined as always by Rob from Chud.com and JustPressPlay.net and the IB Times. Welcome, Rob.
Hello.
And we're waiting on Patrick. He's running a little late, I hope, so hopefully we will hear from him later on.
He hasn't gotten his pants off yet. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
You need to be pantsless to be on this show.
Yeah, and he's having trouble with his belt. He's kind of fumbling. It's like a really elaborate buckle.
He wears one of those big "Don't Mess with Texas" belts,
which is weird because I'm the guy from Texas.
I know, which is very strange.
Yeah. And he gets so many odd looks in Chicago. People are just like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're like, this is a blue state, Illinois, and it doesn't make sense for you to wear that.
And I didn't know there were ginger cowboys.
I didn't know either. Roy Rogers. Wasn't Roy Rogers a redhead?
Oh, maybe. That's before I was born, so I don't know.
It was before I was born too, goddamn.
Yeah, so as you can probably tell, this is going to be a pretty freeform episode.
One of our shoot the shit podcasts,
if you will. We do have a lot of big shows planned. The one that we had been talking about on our previous episode, the Femme Fatales episode, we're waiting to really make that big. I guess, Rob, can I go ahead and say, or I guess, can you go ahead and announce our guest? Is she locked in?
I don't want to announce her yet.
Okay, we'll give that to you later. But we're very excited. She's a very cool person in the games industry, or games enthusiast, whatever you want to call it. She's a very big person, does a very, very cool thing that's very unique with video games and video game fandom. And we really want to have her on to talk about, our favorite female, video game characters. So we'll let you know that. That's actually going to be a few episodes from now. But we just thought, well, we're doing this extra episode to kind of get back on track. We had some scheduling issues. So we're just going to come and give you some fun talk about what we've been playing and what we've been doing, and I'm going to rant a little bit about a topic later. But Rob, I was an idiot. We were kind of dancing around the subject of the game that you were reviewing on the previous episode, not realizing that the episode would go live after the embargo was up. So you totally could have talked about it and it would have been actually topical. Yeah. But as it is now, it's going to be a week late. But
that's okay.
Without further ado, Rob, I want to hear about Sleeping Dogs.
Yes. Sleeping Dogs, formerly known as True Crime Streets of Hong Kong, I believe, or True Crime Hong Kong, is basically a Grand Theft Auto inspired, action game crime drama that's owes a lot more to movies like Infernal Affairs and The Mission and, stuff like that. The John Woo Hong Kong cinema and the Johnny To cinema. And it's very good. It's a very, very good game. As I said last week, I feel the fluidity of combat is better than the Arkham City or Arkham Asylum games that it is perhaps most influenced by. I feel that the storyline is fantastic. I feel that the locations are just unbelievably beautiful. I've seen Hong Kong and I've seen Shanghai and other parts of China and Asia represented really well in video games. Nothing's ever going to top Kane and Lynch Dog Days for representing, I believe that was Shanghai, in video game form. But this does an excellent job of representing Hong Kong and, I believe it's the Kowloon area as well you go to, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But the game is just an absolute blast. It's very funny at points. It's very dude bro, but in a mocking sense that, these characters... Something that I picked up on playing the game is that some of these characters felt like Jersey Shore characters, only they were Chinese.
Oh.
And and I don't know if that was an intentional thing on Square Enix's part, or I believe it's, hang on, I have the thing here. I believe it's Allied Fronts or something Front Games who actually developed the game.
United Front, maybe?
That's it. I think it's United Front. So yeah, I'm playing the game, I'm seeing these characters, they all look like Jersey Shore stereotypes, only they happen to be Chinese. So I don't know if that was meta commentary on, Chinese society and the youth in China today being influenced by American culture and what they perceive American culture to be, and like the idea of a tough guy, or like the tough guy stereotype, and appropriating that for themselves as gangsters. So I think it's kind of interesting because so often we've seen mafiosa characters influence other ethnic mafiosa characters.
Right.
Whereas in this case, it's Chinese mafia being influenced by morons who tan too much.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about this game, and now you're unselling me on it, because I haven't really watched much of Jersey Shore. I've only seen it when I'm at the gym, and it just makes me want to hang myself.
Well, to be, not every character is like that, certainly. The lead character isn't.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, no, he's your very sort of typical straightforward hero that has a bit of a dark side to him. And his friend is also who you meet early on. He's very much like that. But, I was really impressed with the cast of the game, especially. The main character is played by Will Lee, who is a very famous Korean actor. He was in the film Die Another Day. He was the main bad guy in that, actually. But he was also in the movie Elektra and stuff like that. But he's also the main bad guy in the upcoming Red Dawn remake.
Okay.
So that's definitely a complicated role. If the remake of Red Dawn, which the trailer was just released not too long ago, is anything like the original. If you remember the original, the main quote-unquote bad guy isn't really that bad. He just kind of wants to go home, and he doesn't believe in the occupation of America. So Will Lee is going to have a very similar role, I would imagine, in the new one. So that's a complicated part, but the character in Sleeping Dogs also very complicated. Some of the other actors that are in the game are Tom Wilkinson, who, if you guys remember, if you listeners remember Batman Begins, he was not Maroni, but he was the original crime boss that,
Falcone.
Falcone, yeah.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, Tom Wilkinson is amazing. He was in a fantastic movie I believe it's called In the Bedroom, which was just absolutely incredible. That should be seen immediately. But, he plays, the main character's handler, his police handler. There's also Byron Mann, who's an amazing actor. And probably my favorite role is the lead character's friend, Jackie, played by Edison Chen. And Edison Chen is kind of controversial. He had, a lot of, sex pictures and sex tapes leaked because basically in Asia, he's a very good looking guy. So in Asia, basically whatever young starlet he was acting with, he would just bang. And he would record it and take pictures, and he would release them because he's, I guess, kind of a scumbag. But he's pretty great. In this, he's fantastic. But Lucy Liu is in the game. Kelly Hu is in it. Robin Shou, Emma Stone, who kind of comes out of nowhere.
Man, I was gonna say, it seems like they're really, and I don't know how I feel about this because I do think there's something to be said about voice actors who are voice actors, and that's what they do. Yeah. But they've really been stepping it up lately. I mean, did you see the cast for Dishonored? It's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm excited for Dishonored too, but I'm really impressed with this cast. And nothing is replacing the cast of Lollipop Chainsaw for me in my heart for best voice cast of the year. Even though Spec Ops: The Line does an amazing job too with voicing voice actors and whatnot, Sleeping Dogs is definitely a number 3, or is probably number 4 right after Max Payne.
Oh yeah, so, you really liked the Max Payne stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with the voice work in Max Payne. There's just nothing wrong with it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So
now I want to hear, because obviously, I mean, the story sounds really cool, and the characters, and the voice acting sounds awesome, but the thing with open world games is there tends to be a problem with, like, all of the different gameplay elements kind of not meshing together too well. Right. And I know Sleeping Dogs had a very big focus on making that melee combat really awesome, and it sounds like it does, but how does everything else fit together?
I mean, there's open world games that do it well, and there's open world games that don't. Games like Mafia, they don't do it well. Just Cause doesn't really do it well. But something like Sleeping Dogs, or something obviously like Grand Theft Auto, or Bully, or Saints Row, or Prototype 2, they do open world really well. Sleeping Dogs feels a little smaller than it perhaps should in terms of locations, especially early on. It's a little claustrophobic, but it opens up nicely and you're able to explore a lot more, and there's a lot going on. The city feels alive, which is nice. It's hard to do an open world that feels alive. As good as Prototype 2's open world was, it didn't feel alive, where Grand Theft Auto 4, and the only reason I use those two as comparative pieces is that Hong Kong and New York are very lively cities, obviously. I mean, any city is a lively city, but some are more lively than others. And Prototype 2 and Grand Theft Auto 4 are New York. Sleeping Dogs is Hong Kong. So it totally meshes well, and you really do get a sense that, yes, people do live here. When this person goes home for the day, they go into that building. Or when they do this, they go here. So it really works out well, I think, for the game. It's, it speaks well to the narrative.
Ladies and gentlemen, this just in, a person by the name of Patrick Hijek has appeared. Command?
From out of nowhere, friends.
So yeah, Pat, you haven't missed too much. We've been talking about Sleeping Dogs, the new game that Rob's been playing. And he was telling me kind of about the open world stuff and how that works. And Rob, you were saying that, the city feels a little bit small at first, but I think that's actually a good thing, in some cases, because the smaller the environment, the more you can add detail-wise into that environment. And it sounds like maybe that's how the city feels so lively compared to, you were talking about Prototype.
It definitely does, because there's moments, especially early on, where you're just walking around like a small market area, and there will be various people selling food, and there's promotional women selling these ridiculous drinks, like these energy drinks that if you down one, you end up having like double impact of your punches and stuff. And it's very silly, but at the same time it's very fun, and it makes sense, because if you're feeling run down, what are you going to do? You're going to drink an energy drink, or you're going to eat a bowl of noodles or something. And it almost reminded me a lot, again, making the comparison to Grand Theft Auto 4, when, Nico would buy a thing of nuts, or he would buy a hot dog and eat it on the street. It's sort of similar in that way, but it's so densely populated, it almost reminds me of Hitman. Do you remember the Hitman Blood Money level, where it was Mardi Gras? And there was just hundreds and hundreds of people everywhere.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that, even on smaller levels. And the action is always intense. Like, you'll see the bad guys there, and then you'll go into a conversation, and then those NPCs that were NPCs before are now enemies. So it's not like the enemies just pop out of nowhere, like in, something like Fable or whatever. It's just a lot of fun. It's such a fun game, and it's really smart. The probably my favorite way to regain health is by using, or rather praying at an altar. I guess in China they have altars on the street where you can light a candle and say a prayer or something. I don't know if this is true. Forgive me, Chinese listeners, if I sound uneducated. It's because I am. I know nothing of China other than I love the food and the people. But you can stop as the character as Wei, I believe his name is, and you stop and you pray and you get your health back, and there's like a little animation of him lighting the candle and saying his prayer and bowing and everything. It's very cool. So the game overall is really great. Something I had trouble with early on was giving me a nice, beautiful environment that I want to explore, but I know that there is a like quest marker far behind me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll get to that eventually. I'm going to explore. Well, I ended up going too far, and it said I failed the mission.
Oh yeah, I don't like stuff like that, especially when it's not clear that doing so is going to cancel the mission for you.
Yeah.
Now, are there good checkpoints in the missions, like, or is it like all or nothing?
Oh yeah. Checkpointing system is fantastic.
Okay,
There's only I haven't had a problem with that at all. So that wasn't an issue. Just this was actually in between missions, so that's why I thought I could explore a little more. So that was something. Oh, there's also some customization options as well, where you could buy new clothes for your character. So immediately I bought like the flashiest pants that I could find to make it look like, yeah, you can see me coming a mile away kind of thing. So
is there a no pants option?
There is no pants option. I wish there. Maybe there is that I haven't explored yet.
2 stars.
I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 now. No, but if I'm grading it on the scale that we use at chud.com, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very strong endorsement. Yeah, it's it's been a little bit of a dry spell, and then all of a sudden we get like Sleeping Dogs and Darksiders 2 like on the same day.
Yeah.
And then next week, I mean, well, I'm the only one who's really excited, but Transformers Fall of Cybertron. And also, Last Story came out this week for Wii users, and I'm hearing really great things about that too. So it's like, come on guys, like spread it out a bit for us.
Yeah, that would be nice, right?
Yeah.
I went to GameStop the other day, and they gave me a list of all the games that I have pre-ordered, and it's like nothing is coming out anytime soon. The soonest thing that's coming out is in September for me. So it's like I basically feel like I'm done until next month, which is probably a good thing because it'll allow me to get through a bunch of games that I have sitting there collecting dust. And I can actually play Rayman Origins and play it with Patrick and his grandmother.
Yeah, all these sales that you've been talking about have led me to get like 10 games on my queue, and now I'm going to need this time before all the expensive games come out this holiday season.
I have the stack, the one that I mentioned last week. It's still literally sitting there, and I just got a whole bunch of things to review for Just Press Play, and now they're on top of the games. So it's like... I have 4, 5. I have 5 movies to review for Just Press Play, and I have 1 TV series of the first season to review.
But see, at least with movies though, like the runtime on that. Like you can knock out those 5 movies in less time than it'll take you to play Sleeping Dogs. Oh
yeah, easily. Sleeping Dogs, I don't know what the estimate is on how long it takes to go through the game, to be honest with you, but I feel like it's definitely worth the investment. I obviously didn't get it with any of the pre-order bonuses or anything. I was going to pre-order it, but then I was just like, I can't justify this right now with Assassin's Creed and all this other shit that I have coming out. So, I mean, dude, I'm about to fork over, $150 for the Street Fighter 25th anniversary collection that comes out in September.
Oh, is that next month? Oh, crap.
That's right.
Speaking of which, did you guys see that the Neo Geo is coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a report on it on Pixelbit, but they are releasing a Neo Geo console for $199 in December. And I don't really understand quite how the console itself works. Like, it clearly has a cartridge slot, but I don't know if it's going to play new cartridges or the old ones. But it comes with a handheld system that's preloaded with 20, like, classic Neo Geo arcade games.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they've got Metal Slug, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, like, I kind of want this. Especially if, like, I'm assuming that it's going to handle digital in some form or fashion, because if the handheld has preloaded games on it, like, that says to me that you can download stuff. And if they add Neo Geo Pocket Color stuff, like, it's mine. Like, I want that.
Right.
Here's something that bothers me about that. I'm all for Neo Geo. I recently watched Ty play Neo Geo at that indie video game store that I go to. They have an old arcade cabinet, and with the Ouya coming out, why wouldn't Neo Geo just be like, we're going to be a dedicated content provider for you, going to get all of our stuff, access to our entire library, whatever new shit that we're developing. Wouldn't that make more sense? That would cut down their costs business-wise to create a console. It would also have a larger install base because people aren't going to buy the Ouya and the Neo Geo. I will, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I probably will too, because I am also an idiot.
But, normal folk are not going to buy both of them, or either of them, really, especially if the Wii U is as promising as people think and the other new consoles are coming out. Who's going to buy a Neo Geo to play some old shit?
But
You know what I mean?
Rob,
It doesn't.
Rob,
I will, but
Rob, the handheld has Magician Lord inside. It has Magician Lord, Rob.
well, I just got a boner. That's so. But like I said, we're fans, so obviously we'll buy it. Patrick would probably pick it up. I'll pick it up, and you'll pick it. So that's $600 Neo Geo is going to make off us.
Right. Yeah. I question the reasoning behind it, the timing, and also the feasibility of it. But at the same time, it's kind of awesome. Like, it comes with a classic Neo Geo joystick. Like the straight up, like really wide base, 4 buttons, in the nice little curve, pattern. Like, it's a Neo Geo system.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really weird thing to me. It's like, are you going to release cartridges in 2013? Like, is that what's happening? Like, I don't know what it is. I don't understand, but I want it.
That's very strange.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I do want that Street Fighter thing, and then, we're probably getting the Wii U in November. I was thinking maybe September, like the Nintendo 64, but they haven't released any information on it, so I'm thinking it will be November. So it's like, Street Fighter September, and then Wii U in November, and then Neo Geo X Gold system in December. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that, but I want to.
I'm gonna have to make some new friends who are really rich and can get me great toys for Christmas.
Right? Yeah. I don't even celebrate Christmas, but I will make a list this year. I'll do the podcast whoring thing, and I'll make an Amazon wish list and say, listeners, if you want to buy me something.
Oh, no.
I won't do that.
No.
But no, Patrick, you're like, when you were saying how you've bought so many games, it kind of makes me, like, I do the same thing. I'll go on binges, usually around Black Friday. And I get to the point where it's like, I may as well just like open these up out of the box and then just put them in my storage Tupperware, because that's basically what I'm doing, because I don't know when I'm going to get to all these games. But I'll play them one day, damn it. Like, maybe when I'm unemployed and I can't buy new games, it's like, well, I've got 30 games that I can go through, and I've got the time to do it. But, Rob, have you been up to anything else, game-wise?
I've been, playing some iOS stuff still. Nothing really too new, nothing too thrilling. But, that's, game-wise, that's all I've been up to. Saw some movies. I'm going to start reading a certain book, so I don't know if you want to come back to that, or if you want me to talk about it now.
Let's talk about it after you've read it a little bit, because I do want to address it. I think it would be fun. But I want to wait until you have some context for it.
Sure.
But you were saying before the show, the campaign is not good.
The campaign, yeah, the movie, the movie, the campaign.
Not the campaign in Sleeping Dogs.
Aww.
Campaign in Sleeping Dogs is fantastic, but the movie, The Campaign, is, it's very weak. It's not very, first of all, I love Zach Galifianakis. I don't love when Zach Galifianakis plays stupid characters.
Which is all I've seen him do so far.
This character that he plays in the movie is like a North Carolina southern poof, basically. And the thing that's frustrating about it is that character is based on a fictional brother that he invented of himself, that he's made appearances on, like, Letterman playing and Conan playing, Alan Galifianakis. And it's just, I don't think that's particularly funny unless he's complaining about Zach. And in this movie, he doesn't do that. So it's not particularly funny to me. It's, Will Ferrell has some funny parts, but it's like, it's a variation on his George Bush character, who in and of itself was distilled into Ricky Bobby when he played him in Talladega Nights. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't really, it's got funny parts to it. To be honest, what's his name? Dylan McDermott is hysterical in the movie, but every time I see Jason Sudeikis, all I want to do is just destroy his face with my fists. I really hate Jason Sudeikis from Saturday Night Live. It was hard watching that movie with the horrible bosses because of him. I can't stand this fucking guy. I don't understand why he's in anything.
That sounds like my feelings about Rainn Wilson. It's like every time that I see him, I'm like, I don't like your face. I don't like your face. I want to destroy your face.
Yeah. And every time this guy pops up, all I want to do is leap through the screen and destroy him. But
I will destroy you.
I will destroy you.
He's kind of like, he's sort of like an everyman. He's like just really plain. And that's why a lot of people can get behind him or just not really care.
I guess that makes sense. I don't know, he's just not a particularly fantastic performer. I don't think he's very funny on Saturday Night Live. In this movie, he does not have many funny parts at all. But, overall, it's just a very weak movie. I think if it was directed by Adam McKay and not Jay Roach, it would have been a lot funnier because Adam McKay has funny in his veins, whereas Jay Roach, I think, has stretched out and done drama and other things, but he's predominantly known for comedy. I just don't think that Jay Roach was the right way to go. I mean, the guy paired with Galifianakis and Steve Carell, who I also don't think is funny, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think he's funny in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. I know. All the hipsters I work with, they don't agree with me, but I don't think he's funny.
Oh, why do you have to go there? Because I'm so not hipster, and now you just lumped me in with them. That's not cool, bro.
I'm sorry. But, he did the Dinner with Schmucks movie with Galifianakis and Steve Carell, and on paper, those two guys are hysterical, even though I don't think one of them is. So that movie should have been a rousing success, correct? But it was not. So I don't understand why Galifianakis would want to reteam with Jay Roach. I don't know why Adam McKay and Will Ferrell would get involved in this movie. I don't know. I think if Will Ferrell is if he's acting in anything, he should either be working under the direction of Adam McKay or just producing. I don't think he should be acting in anything that's not directed by Adam McKay.
So it sounds to me like a case of like all the funny stuff being shown in the trailer, pretty much.
Yeah, there's, for the most part, but there's like, I did laugh. I'm not gonna lie, I certainly did laugh, but it was at parts that were like nobody else was laughing at, so I felt like an idiot laughing so loudly in the theater. Like there was a part, I'll just say it, it's not spoilery, where they're showing a chick that Will Ferrell cheats on his wife with or whatever because he's a politician, and they cheat on their wives for the most part.
What?
A woman
this
that
is shocking to me.
On his wife with, she's like some sort of like exercise instructor or some bullshit, and she's doing stretches on the TV, and Will Ferrell's like, yeah, that's nice, or whatever, and then she does a thing where she's just like, like that, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like, she arches her back and thrusts her ass back, and she does like I don't know. I thought it was hysterical. I started laughing, and then I covered my mouth because no one else was, and it was just very funny and inappropriate. But
I like thinking of you arch your back like that.
Ooh, the seduction begins.
Patrick's coming around.
Yeah, you better. But it's not very good. I would probably give it like 2 out of 4 if I have to rate it on a star scale.
Okay. Yeah, I might just like wait for Netflix for that one then.
Definitely wait for Netflix, which I just canceled, by the way.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that too because I've been falling into the Netflix trap of just like randomly watching episodes of the IT Crowd or like Archer when I should be like doing something else.
You know what? I fall into the other Netflix trap where I don't use the fucking thing.
Well, there's also that. I mean, I was using it really hot and heavy. I was trying to go through all of Next Generation. I got to season 3 where it starts to get good, and then I stopped.
Data becomes more robotic, but Brent Spiner doesn't acknowledge that Data becomes more robotic.
Well, and they get rid of Tasha Yar and Dr. Pulaski, and like they get the nice jumpsuits.
The reason I mentioned that Brent Spiner thing is he did an IMA on Reddit this past week, and someone called him out on it. They were like, "You noticed that you were pretty human first 2 seasons, and then boom, more robotic. What's the deal with that?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't notice that. I certainly wasn't playing him like that." It's like, shut the fuck up. Yes, you were.
Yeah, it's disconcerting in those first couple episodes with Data. It's like, why are you grinning so much?
Yeah, and he actually kind of gives a good reason for it in the IMA. He was like, well, the idea was that he was trying to be human because he was with all the other humans, so he was trying to emote.
That actually makes sense.
something. Yeah, it's not particularly something that they point out, but he figures that because he's on the crew for so long, by season 3, he just kind of stops.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I understand that. Even though you say you don't see it, you obviously do see it. So.
Or he did a really good job of doing like a Marvel No Prize where he explained away the thing properly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty cool IMA, so you can find it on the Reddits.
Well, I've been spending a lot of time on my computer lately, which is odd for me because I am not a PC gamer.
Jerking off.
Yes. But, no, I reviewed a game for Pixelbit called Resonance, which is
that's from Wadjet Eye? Wadjet Eye Games?
Well, they published it, but, the developer is, 12 Games.
I almost worked for them.
Really?
Yes. They're right here. They're a 2-person development team.
Yeah. I kind of got that from the credits, but,
the husband and wife.
Yeah, this, it's a point-and-click adventure game, but it is a point-and-click adventure game in 2012 that could have easily sat on the shelf next to Day of the Tentacle and King's Quest VI and Full Throttle. I mean, it looks like a 90s point-and-click adventure game in all the best ways. I'm not saying that to be derogatory by any means. No. I didn't play a lot of PC games, growing up. We didn't get our computer until 1994. And, literally right after we bought our computer, about 6 months later, became completely obsolete. Because that's when the first that's when the first Intel processor came out.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
right.
that's when Windows 95 came out. All of this stuff happened that basically, made our computer irrelevant. Yeah. But, I got to play Doom and I got to play, a couple other things, but I got really into the Sierra point and clicks. So I played King's Quest 5, 6, and 7. I played Space Quest 4, and I loved those games. So playing Resonance for me it just gave me the warm and fuzzies all over, because it's straight up one of those games. But it also does some really interesting things that are new, at least new to me. There's this whole memory system for you have 4 characters that are interwoven in this story. And once you get them all together, you can switch between them at any time, and you can have them work together, you can have them talk to each other, they can trade items. Certain characters are better at solving things than others. But each character has their long-term memory and their short-term memory. Long-term memory is any, big event that character witnesses. And you can bring it back, you can recall it at any time, so you can actually look at their long-term memory to remind you of certain details. Or you can bring it into a conversation with another NPC, and it'll kind of give you more information, and sometimes that's a solution to the puzzle you're solving. Short-term memory is basically you click on any interactable item in the environment, and you can put it into your short-term memory, and then that's the key to solving a lot of the puzzles, where, you'll say, you're trying to get by a secretary, and she's supposed to get off at 7:30, and there's a clock, and it says 7:32, so you ask, hey miss, what's the time? And she's like, oh crap, I gotta go. And that's how you get by her. It's really cool stuff like that. So yeah, the game really rewards you for your attention to detail when you're talking to people. And again, the long-term memory comes into play really well, because if you've forgotten something, but maybe you just need to jog your own memory, you just, kind of look it up and you're like, oh wait, he talked about that one thing. And that is kind of the solution to this. So, it's one of those point and clicks where most of the time I actually felt like a genius, because I was like, most of the things, solution-wise, seemed very logical and in the fiction of the game. There were a few points where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. There's no way I'm gonna figure this out. I literally have to just click everything to everything else. And that's a failing of those old point and clicks, and I don't know if 12 Games decided that they wanted to do that on purpose to kind of make that as more of an homage, or if it's just the nature of the beast. But that's the only complaint that I really have about the game. The script is fantastic. It's got a lot of humor, even though the actual storyline is pretty serious. The sprite graphics are great. The music is wonderful. It's a really excellent game. It's only $9.99. I highly suggest, if you've ever played a point and click, to pick up that game post haste and play it and love it and thank me later.
I just want to say also, not just because I've had dealings with them in the past, Watch It Eye Games does point and click better than a lot of people do right now. They have a series that's actually available on their website. It's 3 games for $14.99. It's the Blackwell Legacy. I don't know if any of you guys have played these, but It's basically about a detective from the 1930s who's a ghost helping out a woman who is it's sort of like almost modern day kind of thing, but not really. It sort of has like a very like 50s, 60ish vibe, but I always got the impression it was set in modern day. But those games are amazing as well, and they're point and click and they're mysteries. So I would recommend checking those out along with Resonance. Resonance is getting crazy reviews right now. But check out the Blackwell Legacy, the Blackwell Bundle, it's called, as well on whydidIgames.com.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I was really impressed with Resonance. So if they've got some more like that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and they're cool people too. The people who run the place, times that I've had dealings with them, they were really nice and really, open about talking about stuff, so.
Cool. Yeah, and then another PC game came out this week that, you can go ahead and yell at me for buying it, but, Final Fantasy VII PC came out, and I bought that day one, even though buying things from Square Enix is not the most, elegant of options. No PayPal, you have to actually sign on to the website. And, I mean, I have a Square Enix account because of Final Fantasy XI, but even so, I would have liked to have just bought it and downloaded it. But, when I wrote a fanzine called PlayStation Revolution when I was in high school, and I famously gave Final Fantasy VII a perfect 100 out of 100 score, I was just all over that game's nuts, and...
Like everyone was.
Yes, definitely. And in the years since, my feelings towards the game have cooled, mainly because of Final Fantasy VII fanboys and girls.
Because they ruin it for everybody.
Pretty much. But, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII PC, and that game it still has the ability to pull me in. And I haven't played that game probably since 2000. It's been a long time. I beat Final Fantasy VII the week after it came out. I was actually sick that week. It was just like a happy coincidence, and I'm serious, I was actually sick. But I missed school that whole week, and when I got back to school the next Monday, they were like, "Hey, how's Final Fantasy? Where are you?" I was like, "Oh, I beat it." 67 hours that week or whatever. But, no, I think the storyline is still really good. From what I can tell, they have changed the translation in parts, to the better. It reads a little bit better than it did before, but then there's certain things they didn't change, like, the spells are still the same names that they were in the original US translation, so instead of doing the modern, Thunder, Thundera, Thundaga, thing, they're doing Bolt 1, Bolt 2, Bolt 3, which I prefer. I always have a warm,
that better too.
Yeah, I have a warm place in my heart for Bolt 1, Bolt 2, or, Ice 1, Ice 2. I just like that better for some reason. I think Fire
because Thundaga sounds retarded.
Yes. Yeah.
rword.org.
But no, storyline wise, the game is still sucking me in. The music is still great. Gameplay wise, I've kind of felt this way back in the day, but I didn't knock points off for it. Compared to other Final Fantasy games, it definitely seems stripped down. You only have 3 people in your party. You can only equip, a weapon and, a piece of armor and an accessory, so that seems very limiting. I think that the materia system is cool, but the fact that it makes your characters basically blank slates from the start, that don't have their own unique abilities and job classes basically, kind of detracts from what I like about the Final Fantasy combat gameplay. But, as far as the way the game looks, people, oh man, for years they're like, we want a Final Fantasy VII remake, when are you gonna do it, blah blah blah, this is what we want, this is what we need. Screw you guys. Just play Final Fantasy VII PC. Because they up-resed everything into gorgeous, 720p. And that game looks fantastic now. That's all I need. All I wanted...
To be fair, it looked fantastic back in the day.
Well, it looked fantastic back in the day, but have you tried to play PS1 games on, a modern television or a modern monitor?
No.
Okay, they look very muddy and fuzzy and just not right.
Yeah.
This looks amazing. This is crisp and clean. Even the transitions to the CG backgrounds, because I don't know if you guys remember, you'd be on the overworld, and then, an event would happen where all of a sudden the background would start moving in CG, but your polygon characters were still there.
Yeah.
It always looked really bad, even back in the PlayStation 1 days. You could tell the separation from the static CG backgrounds to the animated ones. Here, it looks almost seamless. This game looks amazing, and that's really all I need. I don't need a complete from-the-ground-up remake. I just wanted it to look nice on a modern system, and it does now. So, and I know all of the high brass in Square Enix listen to this podcast, as they should. So, guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, do this for Final Fantasy 8 and 9 as well.
Yeah.
And then release all 3 on PlayStation 3 on a disc for me, and I love you long time.
No, put them on fucking Xbox too. I would like to play 9 again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you want to do them on PSN or XBLA, if you want to do it that way, I mean, they did add achievements, to this one.
Yep.
Like, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. I would kind of prefer to have a disc with all 3 games on it, but I'll take it any way I can get it. This game looks amazing. A little bit of the audio, is iffy. The boss music in particular seems a little washed out compared to the original. But I'm totally invested in it again. I'm planning on playing it through all the way for the first time since that first week after it came out. So yeah, it's awesome.
Are you gonna recruit Vincent and everybody? You're gonna go through all the steps to get everybody, all the secret people?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. I actually was not too big of a fan of Vincent and Yuffie, but the party is so small without them.
Yeah, it is.
Especially once you lose Eris.
Well, Vincent adds a lot too to the narrative. Yeah, I mean, you might not like him as a character, but he does add some interesting plot points.
That's true. And, I don't like Kate Sith. Like, I don't use him. So basically, if I don't have Vincent and Yuffie and Eris, then I'm basically down to like Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, and Sid.
Yeah. Sid's awesome. I mean, you can't go wrong with Sid.
Yeah.
Tifa, I can live with that.
What about Red 13?
Oh, I forgot about Red 13.
Shit, Red 13, Nanaki.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always kept him in my party. I never even got Vincent, though. I didn't realize he was in it until I read, like, fanboy stuff after I played the game. I was like, what? But I randomly just found Yuffie one time. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually
The cool thing about Vincent is how crazy powerful he is.
Yeah, I think I missed him too the first time, Patrick. I got Yuffie, but, basically, like, to get Vincent, you have to click on something that isn't there, which is, like, bull. Like, there's like a third menu option that's, like, just blank, and you wouldn't know it unless you actually know to click on it. Or you're just, like, randomly, like, going through the list. I don't know.
I think I had a walkthrough, when I played through it.
Cheater!
Fuck you. I used to buy the, walkthroughs and stuff like that all the time when I was a little kid. You know what it is? I liked all the extra art and stuff like that, and I didn't, this was like mostly pre-internet days, so unless I had a friend who was playing the same games I was playing, I was never gonna finish them if I got stuck,
Yeah, and you're right on with the art and stuff. I actually am trying to get a nice collection of all of the Final Fantasy strategy guides, just to have them.
Yeah.
With recent games, I've been buying them when they come out, so I have like 12, 13, and 13 too.
Yeah.
But, those are the only ones that I ever purchased.
I still have the one for 7, Tactics, and 9.
Oh, nice. Well, 9 was a piece of garbage.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, well, which one did you have? Because the official strategy guide, that's when they introduced Play Online. So.
Yeah, that's the one that I had, but whatever. I still have it. I think you're saying the game was a piece of garbage.
Oh, no, 9 is fantastic. That's the best one on the PlayStation.
But, I have I have the Resident Evil 2 one. I think I have the Resident Evil 3 one also. And, I have Ocarina of Time, even though I don't remember using the one for Ocarina of Time, and I have the one for Majora's Mask. But I hated Majora's Mask, so I stopped.
Man, finding the Shadow Temple in Ocarina is so hard, though.
Which one? The Water Temple?
I think that the finding the Shadow one.
Oh, yeah, that was tough.
No, the Water Temple
is in the desert and, like, on a wall or something like that.
Yeah, that Water Temple broke me. I will never play that game again. I had trouble
too much with the Water Temple, but I did have trouble with the thing Patrick was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just luckily had a friend who had played it and was, like, watching me play it again because he loved it so much.
That was such a great game. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, that's all I did game-wise since the last time we recorded. But last night, I did see a movie, and it's the only movie this week worth talking about, and that would be Expendables 2.
No.
So I'm going to say right now, this entire What You've Been Playing section brought to you by Statham Sightings.
Deal is the deal. Rule number 1.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Can I ask, and you can cut this out because it's spoilery, but just tell me, does Dolph Lundgren die?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are you lying?
No. Characters die, but he is not one of them.
Well, I know Mickey Rourke dies.
Mickey Rourke's not in it.
Yeah, he's killed off, right? Off screen?
They never mentioned him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not in it.
Because I thought the story of this one was somebody kills him and then they go out to get revenge for it.
No, somebody gets killed and they go revenge for that character. But
one of the main Expendables?
Huh?
One of the main Expendables gets killed?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it. Unless it's someone I don't give a shit about, like Terry Crews or Randy Couture.
Hey man, Terry Crews is awesome. Okay. Let's go back to the discussion now.
We can count that in. Just cut out the Dolph Lundgren thing.
Okay. But no. So I felt that the first Expendables was a little tepid. I didn't think that they went kind of far enough with the action or the one-liners or anything that made. I was expecting a much crazier movie than what I got. I liked it, I just didn't love it. But the first...
Wait. To be fair, hang on. You're expecting these 60-something-year-old guys to be swinging around and doing the crazy shit that they used to do 20, 30 years ago.
Well, no, I was expecting Jason Statham to be swinging around doing crazy stuff.
He's the only one who can do it still. And it would be a little boring just watching the small British guy swing around... throwing knives at people.
Now, to be fair, they do some pretty badass stuff in this movie, despite their age.
I'm sure. They probably heard that as a complaint, though, that it wasn't as action-packed, so they were like, fuck, I'm 60, I gotta swing on a vine now.
Yeah. I mean, literally the first 15 minutes of Expendables 2 has more action and a higher body count than the entire first Expendables movie. It's amazing, and it's done with so much humor this time around. It kind of feels like the most violent game of G.I. Joe that I could have ever concocted. Because when I would play G.I. Joe as a kid, I would just get all my figures out and I would come up with these really elaborate set pieces and stuff. There wasn't really any plot other than it was just like G.I. Joe versus Cobra. That's all that mattered. And that's basically all that matters here is there's a story, there's stuff going on, Bruce Willis is mad about them screwing him over in the first movie, and now he's getting payback and he wants them to do a mission. But it doesn't matter. All you have to know is that, the Expendables are badass, and Van Damme is a really awesome bad guy, and they want him dead, and they're going to do anything they can to make him dead.
Nice.
And, Jason Statham kills so many people in so many awesome ways, and, there's parts where Stallone does some fighting where it's Rocky Balboa level of,
nice.
just hurting bombs. Just, it looks painful, what the stuff that he does to people. And, Van Damme does some awesome stuff.
He's still in amazing shape.
He is, but it's kind of funny because he's wearing dark sunglasses. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, Van Damme looks great. Then he takes the glasses off and it's like, oh wow, Van Damme is old. Van Damme has seen better days.
Did you see JCVD?
No, I want to. I really want to.
Oh my god, he's so good in it.
But, they give the smaller characters more time to shine. Like Terry Crews and Dolph Lundgren. The only one who gets the short shrift, I think, is probably Randy Couture. But he's not really an actor, so that's understandable.
I love Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren's one of my favorite people that has ever existed on the planet. So, even though he was, a sort of bad guy in the first one, every time he popped up, I was like, please don't kill him, please don't kill him. So I'm really glad that he has a bigger part in the second one.
Yeah, and they actually make his character kind of interesting, because he's still a maniac, he's still crazy.
Yeah.
But you learn more about him that's really kind of interesting. And John Golson, who, friend of the show, and we'll probably have him on again, he made a comment on Twitter, he was watching the first Expendables, and he was saying how every time Dolph Lundgren speaks, it looks like it's painful for him to just talk.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true, but they kind of add something to his character in this movie.
Well, he is supposed to be like a heroin addict in the first one, so...
That's true, yeah.
The interesting thing about Lundgren is that, compared to everybody else in the cast, he might be and this is probably controversial, he might be the best actor of anybody else in the cast, not counting Mickey Rourke, even though Mickey Rourke's not in the second one. Not counting Mickey Rourke in the first one, he might be the finest actor out of all of them.
What about Statham? You gotta give props to our sponsor.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Statham on that, because
I love Jason Statham, but Jason Statham more often than not very one note for me.
Well, but
Yeah,
but
I like
if you
him
play
in
that,
Snatch a lot and Lockstock.
yeah.
And he is really funny, and he's a great action star, and it looks like a guy that I would love to hang out with. But he really plays a lot of the same character, whereas like Lundgren has, sort of branched out. He's played like the quiet, dignified warrior, whereas he's played like the total psychopath. He's played like the walking tree badass, he's played Jesus. So it's,
Yeah, well, to be fair, like I think that if you're a one-note actor but you play that note really well, that counts. Because I think Michael Cera does the same thing all the time, but I like what Michael Cera does. Same thing with Statham. Like, I'll give you that point that he is kind of a one-note actor, but I think he's a fantastic player of that note.
Oh yeah,
and
I would never. Dude, he's like one of my favorite action stars. Yeah. So I'm certainly not saying it's
good
bad.
in this movie. Like, there's parts where he gets really pissed off with Stallone a lot. Like it's kind of like Trouble in Paradise with the bromance. and there's part, like, he's constantly, like, threatening someone. He's like, I'm gonna stab you in the face one day. And then, like, later on, he's like, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. Like, he's just, like, constantly wanting to do things to Stallone's face in this movie.
It seems like they have almost like a husband and wife kind of quality, because they're like the leaders of the team.
Very much
so. In the first movie, you kind of get like a husband and wife quality to them.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Only complaint that I have about this movie, and it's not really a spoiler, but I want to kind of lower your expectations right off the bat. Jet Li's only in the first 15 minutes, and then he's out. But that first 15 minutes, he does some awesome stuff.
So, who's the Asian chick that's in it? Because I see her on the posters. I haven't looked it up. Who's the Asian chick that's in the movie?
I'm not familiar with her. I've never seen her before, but she's added to the team by Bruce Willis. He's like, you need to take her, or I'm going to put you in jail.
Her name is Yu Nan.
Yeah, I've never seen her before.
Okay, I don't know what the hell she's been in either. I don't recognize any of this shit.
Not very attractive.
No.
She's fine. She's definitely fine. So, she was in Speed Racer.
Was she really?
That's where I've seen her.
Who is she in Speed Racer?
She is Haruko Tokugan.
Oh, the sister?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Man, I love Speed Racer.
Yeah, me too. But, so Scott Adkins is in it. Scott Adkins, who was basically born to play Iron Fist.
Who's Scott Adkins?
So he's in the Expendables 2 also?
Oh, he must be Van Damme's, number 2. He was pretty awesome.
Okay, cause he literally was born to play Iron Fist. Like, one of the writers at Chud, I think it's Renee Rangel, he says that, nobody on the planet could play Iron Fist better than Scott Adkins could, so.
He looks like Bizarro Ben Affleck.
He does look like Bizarro Ben Affleck. He also looks like he could dismantle Ben Affleck pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, but I could dismantle Ben Affleck pretty quickly.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Probably not.
Not Daredevil Ben Affleck.
Yeah, not Daredevil Ben Affleck. Maybe not even the Town Ben Affleck.
I could probably dismantle Ben Affleck.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
This Scott Adkins dude has done a lot of action roles, but most importantly, he's playing Smoke in the new Mortal Kombat movie or show, whatever it is.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that new Mortal Kombat thing.
I don't like Michael Jai White as Jax.
It just creeps me out. Like, I don't need Mortal Kombat to be realistic and gritty. Like, I'm there to see a dude named Sub-Zero, like, throw ice balls. Like, I don't need that explained to me in, like, reality. You know what I mean? Like, you've already sold me on this story. It's kind of this thing, I talked about this with a friend back when X-Men came out, like, when they were trying to, like, ground the powers in reality, quote unquote. And it's like, I'm going to see a movie about a guy who has metal claws that come out of his hands. I'm already in the theater. Like, you don't need to explain this to me.
Lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah. Like, I don't need, like, it's okay to have Magneto and Storm flying around and not have to explain it. You know, like, it's fine. Like, we're already here. We're in the theater.
It's stupid to me because the first Mortal Kombat movie works for what it is.
So well. Love that movie.
Yeah, it's a silly movie, but it's fun. The new one, if they're doing the whole, like, gritty, blah, 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 whatever, it's just silly because it's like, it's a tournament. Everybody, it's a super-powered Enter the Dragon. That's all it is. Same thing with Street Fighter. It's really not a hard recipe. Like, in one of them, it's gory and they die. In the other one, it's cartoony and they don't. So.
But people have not they can't seem to get that idea across. You know, like a Street Fighter live action movie. All I want is Bloodsport with people throwing fireballs. That's all I need.
I just want to follow Ryu around. Just take Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and make that live action.
Yes.
That's
sweet.
Show some Chun-Li titties, and I'm good. Have her fight Vega, only have Vega win, and I'm good.
Make it interactive, have her thighs be able to wrap around you.
Listen, I don't need a boner while we record. Too late, because Patrick's already here.
Well, yeah, and so I'm just gonna say real quick, Expendables 2, loved it. If you like action movies, go see it. Statham!
Did you like that one, tough guy? How freaking awesome was that, huh?
And, yeah, so Patrick, what have you been up to?
Well, you recently talked Square Enix, and I tried the Dream Drop Distance demo.
Oh.
That was over in like 5 minutes.
Over in 5 minutes because you didn't like it, or over because it was just a short demo?
It was really short, and I guess I'm good at that game. I never played a Kingdom Hearts game before, but like, it didn't do much for me. I don't know. The system was kind of cool, but like it didn't use the stylus or anything on the 3DS in any crazy way. Like actually you don't really use it at all, except for like one kind of attack, which like slows down the game completely, and you sort of like throw a bomb up in the air with whatever's in the actual game. You just sort of have to pick up something and throw it. But like besides that, it's just like it could be on any system. It's not really like utilizing the controller in any way possible. But I don't know, the character that you meet in the demo is really cool from The World Ends With You. I was like, oh, I wanted to play him in something else for so long. But yeah, he's the dick in it though. He's like, oh, Sora, you're already trying to be my friend? And then he like goes away, and then Sora's like, yeah, I want to help you. So I'm like, I'm not gonna play as this guy. But after that was over, I played some more Mario Kart 7, and I've talked about that. I think it's the coolest game in the series. So I'm unlocking more stuff. Played it online with some people. And besides that, I played some more of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. And that game, I don't know, the narrative is starting to be my favorite in a military setting, because it took me to Pakistan, and then like this Russian chick was like invading it, which was hilarious. And she was like taking some secret intel, and then we had to go to Russia, and there was like the coolest mission I think I've ever had in a military shooter, because you have to follow this warhound around, but you also get to control it and where it shoots. So it has like these little heat-seeking rockets that you're shooting off at everybody the entire mission. And you're in the Arctic, so you're also like in white camo, which is obviously the best camo. And the rockets that are heat-seeking, they like have really cool animations, and they're able to like bounce off walls and like hit like 3 people at a time and stuff like that. And I don't know, you could see everybody in like night vision at the same time, so you can really plan it out and not get hit throughout the whole time if you are smart about it. But if you're not smart about it and just like follow blindly, you'll be in the middle of a fight without knowing it, and you'll just get ambushed and die. So I really like how tactical it is at the same time. But then halfway through the mission, you get like into this secret base area. You find out they've been harboring like big WMD missiles and a bunch of like secret submarines. And then you have to like you have to find the computer to hack through it before they launch and stuff. And luckily that wasn't near the end of the campaign. It was like right in the middle. But I had a lot of fun time finding it out, like in the middle of it, rather than like them being at the beginning, oh, there's WMDs everywhere and we have to take them down, and that like be the big storyline. It's just like off the shoulder, off the cuff, like, oh yeah, hey, these enemies have this. And then after that, like in Ghost Recon Future Soldier, they have a lot of enemies who have the same intelligence as you, and they have the same, like, ghost camo, which, like, makes them invisible. So it's like, finally a game, like, doesn't cripple the enemy just so that you can beat them really easily. I mean, a lot of them are actually too smart. Like, I feel like they'll get alerted sometimes, and I'm like, I was being really quiet, or he was turned around the other way, what the heck? But, it just makes it even more real, I guess, because you have to be way more shady than you should be.
Yeah.
Or think you could be initially. So, having a lot of fun with that, and that's mostly what I've been playing this week, because I'm about 3/4 done with it now.
Yeah, I like what you say about the enemies kind of not being hampered, because I have noticed in recent years, actually since the PS2 days, a lot of games, you're just so awesome, your character is so powerful, like even from the get-go, that it feels like you never really, like the enemies don't really have a chance. Especially with like character action games, you know, like I remember back with like Onimusha and Devil May Cry came out, it was like, I felt so badass that I didn't feel like there was any challenge whatsoever. And shooters can be the same way, where you have so many toys at your disposal that it almost seems unfair because all they end up doing is just throwing tons and tons of enemies at you instead of making them on an even playing field with you.
Yeah, they do give you a lot of guns in this, but they all feel a little bit different, which is something that Modern Warfare does pretty well too. But this one, the whole game's in 3D, but one of the coolest parts of the 3D is like when you're picking your loadout before the missions, you could press a button and you just see the gun then, and like all the different parts of it break apart, and you can look and like scope in at like the different parts of the gun that you have, and like you unlock different parts that are better for that gun, and you could like switch them in and out, or some of them are just like different parts, like a suppressor and stuff, which isn't that big of a deal, but like when you put it together with the presentation that they have and like the 3D, looking at a gun that's been disassembled in midair, it just has a like different kind of feel than I'm used to in a game. But
gun porn.
Right.
Patrick, have you been up to anything else?
Not really, just playing some downloadable titles. Tried to get back into Fire Emblem, but died a lot because they only give you 2 people for this fourth mission that I'm in, and I'm like, I don't have any potions for this one chick, and when she dies, it's game over, so I don't get it. Yeah. And not really gonna try that hard because it's not that good of a game. But, I mean, there's just nothing unique about it.
Yeah. Other than, I think the difficulty is the unique thing about the Fire Emblem games.
Yeah, I'm doing the right thing and going in the terrain like they tell me to, and then there's reinforcements coming, but so many of these undead animals come out of the woodworks in the forest, and it's just like, you're coming right at me, and I have nothing to heal myself. What am I supposed to do? Oh well.
Pray to Statham.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, a cat meowed.
Yeah, that's Caprica. She's outside right now. Or she's outside of my door.
Okay, you don't let her outside.
No. She's an indoor cat, but she's not in the room right now.
Good. Don't ever... Listeners, don't let your pets go outside unless they're dogs and they have to pee or poop. Only assholes let their cats out.
Hey, now, we let Fluffy outside when we had
her.
She was a good kitty. Okay, so, yeah, it's gonna be a short episode this week, guys. I mean, honestly, like, we have recorded in less than a week ago, as far as our scheduling, so not a lot has happened to us, and we didn't really have time to come up with a topic or anything. I really just want to take a few minutes to rant about something that happened near, my area this week. I don't know if this really got national press because it wasn't a huge thing like the Aurora shooting or anything, but there was a shootout, in College Station, kind of close to the campus of, A&M University. Not really on the campus, but kind of where a lot of the students, live. Basically this 35-year-old man, named, Thomas Caffel, shot and killed a couple constables before dying himself, in a shootout. He was being served a eviction notice because he was behind like 2 months on rent, and he just opened fire. And it was like a really long standoff, and finally, it ended, and unfortunately some, police got killed as well as a few people got, injured. Now, whenever something like this happens, it's almost like, I always like to take bets on how long it'll be before the video games argument comes up. And sure enough, like, I think it was probably about a day on this one. The Aurora shooting, it was by the end of the afternoon that people were talking about video games. But this was actually about a day later, and it was actually his father that was saying that, he played video games all the time, and he played them so much that he, completely lost touch with reality, and it was just a matter of time before he did something like this. And that is such a frustrating line of thinking to me. And it's something that we hear all the time, and people end up trotting out the same games and everything. And it's very ignorant to me. And now, to be fair, the person who said this was the shooter's father, who, father of a 35-year-old man is probably going to be in his 60s or 70s. So that's about the age that I would expect for somebody to bring out the video games argument. But it's just such a crock to me that this is still a thing. And I realize this because video games are still a new medium, but if Thomas Caffel played or spent a lot of time watching television, or spent a lot of time reading, or, a lot of time watching movies, that would never even be brought up, because basically what it is, this guy, he quit his job about a year ago and he refused to find new work. And later on his mother said that he had an illness and there was something wrong with him that was completely separate from anything relating to video games. But, like I said, if he had done anything besides video games in that time that he was unemployed, it wouldn't even be an issue. No one would be talking about it. But because it's video games, that's the trigger. And it just really frustrates me. And, yeah. Like, I feel... I'm going into rant mode here. I mean, obviously I feel bad for the victims and the family and friends of the victims. That's a tragedy, and I'm not condoning what he did in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that video games are not the trigger for that. Odds are when somebody goes on a spree like that, there are some deep-seated mental problems or personal issues with that person that would manifest in any number of ways, and it's not really the media that person consumes, it's the person themselves.
Yeah, it's probably a reason that they began playing video games, but not because of playing video games. More likely, I bet you something traumatic happened with a close loved one, or a parent not being there, or friends not being really your friends and doing some shady shit to you behind your back, or something like that, which gets you to be like antisocial in the first place and start thinking about that.
Exactly, and he's a 35-year-old man, so hello, like, 35-year-old men play video games. Like, that's just a thing. By and large, that's just what people do these days.
Yeah, I feel like as you play games for more time too, you probably refine yourself enough where you're like, hey, I think I might have used to want to do this, but now it's like I understand by playing it so much what's so wrong with it, kind of like a Clockwork Orange. Like, you see all these different, like, horrific things happen, you're like, I would never want to do that to anybody. I want to save those people rather than, oh yeah, I played Grand Theft Auto the first time and I'm 12 years old and now I want to go out and steal a car and shoot people.
Right. And I mean, see, here's the thing, like, you remember like Jack Thompson and I guess Lieberman too, like basically on this like campaign to get video games basically banned, because of the violence and everything. That's ridiculous to me. But if all Jack Thompson and Lieberman wanted to do was keep M-rated games from getting into the hands of minors, I'm okay with that because I don't think that it's appropriate for, people under a certain age. Same thing with rated R movies. Like, there's a reason why, this stuff is created. It's created for a certain audience. I don't think that a 12-year-old can appreciate something like a Grand Theft Auto 4 or a Modern Warfare 3. You're not going to understand the implications of the story. And if that's all they wanted to do, I'm fine with that. But what ends up happening is they go and demonize the entire industry and say, like, these are just murder simulators or glorifying violence. And I'll admit that there is a little bit more of that lately than I would like. I would love to see more games where not being violent is an option, or even a game where there isn't any fighting. And there's been a little bit more of that lately, and of course, I'm not talking about kids games. I'm talking about, like, mature-rated, adult-type games where combat isn't the focus of the game. And I think we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. But, it just really bothers me when this comes up time after time. And I'm trying to figure out when it's not going to be an issue anymore. Because I'm trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be that people blame things on. Because before video games, it was like, death metal. And before death metal, it was rock and roll. And before rock and roll, it was comic books. So I'm trying to figure out what the next thing is that people are going to be decrying that is the reason why people are messed up.
I don't think there is going to be another form of media that people are going to decry. I mean, it's kind of the internet now, too.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
nobody ever says,
generation, now that that's over, I think we talked about this a little bit once before. It's not going to go away until you have a president who says that violent video games serve some sort of, artistic expression or something, and that's never going to happen because interest groups are going to prevent that from happening every single time it comes up as a proposition.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the religious right, as long as they are a legitimate lobbyist group, they're going to prevent video games, and they're going to put down video games as much as they possibly can. So,
yeah.
I mean, look at the Republican candidates now. I mean, Jesus Christ, these are like two of the worst people on the face of the planet that are going to be running on the GOP ticket, for God's sakes. Like, video games are not going to be safe with these guys in office.
I don't really have a lot of, or really any political leanings one way or the other, but I'll be damned if I'm going to sit through having a president named Mitt.
I don't, that's funny. I don't have any political leanings either. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I voted for Nader. So it's frustrating to see, like, that nobody's willing to kind of talk about art in that way. I mean, video games are obviously art. You're an idiot if you don't think that. Yeah. But it's just very silly to me that, we're at a point where, like, we're still talking about violent video games. Oh, they're so bad.
I think that a lot of, like, bureaucracy and politicians have trouble getting into their fields if they don't, like, agree with a lot of people who are already in their fields.
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably why you see a lot of even the younger people who are coming up not know much about new art forms.
Right.
Or forms of interactive media, if you don't want to call it art. Because those people, like the older people who are like, 70 and in Congress or 55 and a presidential candidate grew up their whole life, or like their whole younger life without video games, and now they're like, hey, what are these foreign things? And they can't, I don't know, for some reason, reshape their brain in a way that's like allowing these new things to happen to them. So that's they true. Also don't let other people do that near them either. At least on the GOP shot. Sorry.
The funny thing is about, like, the guy who just got the VP nomination for the Republican ticket, Ryan. He's a pretty young guy. Like, he was a frat boy. He did the whole college thing. This fucking guy has played Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
There's no way that he hasn't. And there's no way that he didn't drop a few beers doing it. Okay?
Well, how old is he, though? Because there's a very possible...
He's 42.
It's possible that he didn't. Because
he looks bullshit. A lot younger than he really is.
If he was in college,
20 years ago,
he was playing Grand Theft Auto.
Well, he was probably playing Doom, if he played anything.
Well, okay, that's even worse in a lot of ways. But this guy's played video games.
But also 20 years ago doing the frat boy thing, he might have just been trying to get laid and drinking all the time.
Playing video games is part of that.
It's part of that now, but I would make an argument that possibly 20 years ago, that was still when video games were very much a nerdy thing that your frat boy type guy didn't necessarily partake in. Some of them did. I'm not saying that they all didn't. But
has Obama ever said on record that he's played video games? I get the impression that he's a really cool guy and probably has.
I would think that he has. Because he's so addicted to his, like, smartphones and stuff. I'm thinking that dude plays some Angry Birds, something fierce.
Yeah. I mean, his kids clearly play video games. Didn't he, wasn't there a big story that came out that he got them 3DSs when it first came out?
Probably, yeah.
Something like that, where he had, like, his assistant go and get them 3DSs on the day of launch, like.
Yeah.
So this guy knows his shit.
Yeah.
I think we should all vote for Obama just because we know he bought his kids 3DSs.
Gamers unite on that platform only.
Absolutely.
But Patrick, you bring up a good point, and I think it's true. Like, I think our generation, when I say our generation, I mean, like, the people that are in their 20s and 30s now, when we're in our, like, 60s and 70s, like, maybe that's what has to happen, for things to move along. And I really hope that when I get to my 60s and 70s that I have a more open mind. Like, I tell myself this all the time. I want to remember what it was like to be a teenager. I don't want to forget that. Because as it is now, I remember how it was being in public school as a teenager. And I don't think things have really changed all that much. Like, I still remember, you know, girls, like, you know, flaunting their stuff and guys, you know, smoking a bowl and, you know, getting drunk all the time. So stuff shouldn't shock me, you know, when I see teenagers doing the same stuff now. But for some reason, there seems to be like some sort of like switch that gets flipped in your brain at some point in your lifetime where all of a sudden that becomes shocking behavior that needs to be addressed. Where at one point it's just like, well, that's just the nature of growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to forget that. I want to try to have a more open mind about it when I get, you know, to that age and be like, oh yeah, you know, like, things were the same back in my day. You know, you're just doing like slightly different things now because this is what's new and hip right now.
Yeah.
I will embrace and touch the teenager inside me.
Oh God. I'm actually planning on touching a teenager later.
Oh, yeah. That's not a joke, listeners. He actually.
Let's just change the subject.
Oh man, I think we should make a new logo for the show where it's just my face superimposed on Fassbender and Shame. just see what happens. See what the reaction is.
Yeah, I've had this like increasing image of you lately of just like crying while performing sexual acts, like either on yourself or someone else.
I'm just huddled in a corner masturbating and crying.
Just listening to the same Seal song over and over.
Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah.
Tears are a good lubricant.
Well, my life has really gone down the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that kids are like the most pure judgment of character that you can possibly ask for. Like they will tell you exactly how they feel and they won't hold anything back, and they have like the most unbiased opinion, I think, toward like who you can be and who you are and everything, because they've only been in life so long and they don't really know how other people expect you to talk around them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't forget that for yourself either, because you shouldn't shield things from people that could help them out, even if it hurts them a little bit. I think you always got to be honest. And a lot of the people who we've been talking about, these politicians, especially recently, have not been doing that so much. A lot of their ads even are just like slanted and like a little bit of slander toward the other candidate. And
oh yeah, you couldn't get these guys to tell you the truth, like if you had them, in a waterboarding session. Like, it's just not going to happen because it's just like lies are ingrained into their personality by this point.
Mm-hmm. As for the GOP specifically, I really wish they were more like Will McAvoy from the Newsroom, because he's a Republican candidate, but he's so like honest with like his own party. Even he like points out at his own party like what they should even change. But I mean, obviously he's a news anchor in this fictional show, so it's something to strive for. Not something we have yet.
That's kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because in the campaign, you know, Will Ferrell is like the southern sleazeball sleeping around being a douchebag, but he's the Democratic candidate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whereas Galifianakis is the Republican one, and Galifianakis is a genuinely good person.
Oh, that flipped the script on me. I just assumed that Will Ferrell was the Republican guy.
No. So
cool.
they're kind of, you know, making a point in that movie especially, to stand up for, you know, what you really believe in, who you are, regardless of party lines kind of thing. So, but I mean, of course, that's not real politics.
Yeah,
I mean, happen.
To be fair, just as all celebrities are covered in disease, like all politicians are evil. Like,
yeah, it's true. They are.
That's a callback to our second episode.
Some way they got to the top, you know.
Take this from the guy who interviewed New York Senator a few weeks ago.
Did you have to shower afterwards? Did you feel like Ace Ventura?
Felt a little dirty. The crying gay music was playing.
Ooh, what did you see?
Oh, you don't want to know.
What was seen cannot be unseen. But hopefully, you listening to this episode will not be something that you wish that you could unlisten to. I hope you enjoyed this kind of meandering, freeform, slightly ranty episode of Nerds Without Pants. We will be coming back in 2 weeks with an episode all about our personal vices and how those work into video games. And I think Rob is going to have kind of a little confessional at that point. Because by that point he will probably have read a pretty interesting book and will have also done some really shameful things that he may or may not want to talk about on the air. We'll see if we can get it out of him.
I'll have read at least a good portion of it, I would say.
Yeah. And we'll have, hopefully, after that, a very awesome episode that I know I keep teasing you listeners about. But we're just really hoping that it comes together, and this guest could be really cool, and I hope that you enjoy that and that all comes to fruition. As far as like little housekeeping stuff, Rob, what can the listeners check out from you right now over at your various venues?
Over at ibtimes.com, I've been paying a lot of attention to the Avengers 2 news that has been trickling out. So I've been trying to cover the Avengers 2 as much as possible, Guardians of the Galaxy, basically anything related to Marvel Studios. At Chud, you can check out my indie roundup, which I did not post last week. I will be posting it. It will be up this week. And over at justpressplay.net, I recently reviewed Chariots of Fire. You can also check out upcoming reviews for The Moth Diaries, which is a Twilight-type movie, but not really because it's actually good. And you can check out various reviews of other things that will be popping up there as well. I've got like 5 or 6 things, so be on the lookout.
Very cool. Patrick, I know last episode you talked about your painting project. Have you gotten a chance to do any of that?
No, I was just waiting for it to go up on our Nerds Without Pants episode that came out yesterday, so.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, so look forward to that, listeners. Also, we've had some really cool stuff at Pixelbit lately. Definitely check out Angelo Grant's piece, The DNA of Dishonored. It's a really interesting feature about the games that have kind of influenced and informed the creation of the game Dishonored, which is a game that I'm rapidly chomping at the bit for. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere for me, and now it's probably one of my most anticipated games for the rest of the year. So definitely check that out. We also have a hands-on preview from Travis. He was at QuakeCon and got some really good impressions on it there. And you can check out my Resonance review.
Yeah, my hands-on preview is coming out too.
Yes. Yes.
Station All-Stars.
I need to edit that this weekend. But yes, you can check out Patrick's hands-on preview for PlayStation All-Stars. And yeah, we'll have some other stuff in the future. As far as Twitters go, you can check out me at Julian_Titus. Patrick?
I'm at some boss.
And Rob?
At Robert Otone, Ottone.
Yes, and again, if you could please rate and review us on iTunes. Join in the conversation over at the comment threads. I want feedback on our episodes, damn it. Like, let us know how we're doing. If you agree with what we're saying, disagree, like, have it out with us. Like, you know, let us have it. Like, I want to hear some stuff from everybody and anybody. You can comment anonymously if you like on, pixelbit.com. You can also go over to facebook.com/nerdswithoutpantspodcasts. That's our Facebook fan page. You can like us there, give us feedback there, episode ideas, send us listener mail, whatever. We want to hear from you.
Fan art.
Fan art, that would be cool.
If you want to put my head on Fassbender's body from shame, do it. I'll make it my profile picture, and I'll friend you. That could be our first contest.
So yeah, I mean, we definitely want to hear from you. You, the listeners, make the show great. So the more feedback and the more interaction we have with you, the better the show is. I think our Sex and Games episode was really cool because we had some very nice entries and letters from listeners. So we want more of that. For myself, Patrick, and Rob, keep it pantsless, internet, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Well, isn't that special?
Save them.
Oh, God. Yeah, it is, but it's just, you know, you lose your social life, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly you're not.
Oh, that's true.
Just bring your friends to your job, you know?
No, the people he's hanging out with, he should not be bringing to his job.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
Rob's a whore.
We'll talk about it at the end of the show.
Did you have an energy?